Welcome. My name is Tina Bateman. I'm joined by Sammy Cordova, and we are program specialists with the Election Assistance Commission. We're here to talk a little bit about two upcoming programs that we have, the Help America Vote College programs. The Help America Vote College program is not a new one. It was actually founded a few years ago, 2004. It went away and it has now come back with a new addition, the Service Day Mini Grant Program. The Poll Worker Grant Program offers a 2-year funding opportunity with a larger scale and scope to engage college students in the polls as poll workers in their local communities. The Service Day Mini Grant Program is more event focused, encouraging organizations to put on events on 2 national service days that we have, Help America Vote Day, as well as National Poll Worker Recruitment Day. And that grant is for 1 year. We're going to talk about both programs today to give an overview of what they're about, who is eligible, really most importantly, where to find the resources for these 2 programs. And we'll dive into each program a little bit deeper. And we'll show you how to find any questions and ask about technical assistance. What today is not is a how to apply training. We won't get into the details about how to submit applications, but we are presenting a how to apply webinar that is on Tuesday, November 28th from 2 to 4 p.m. 2 o'clock will be the poll worker program, and then at 3 p.m. we'll start the mini grant program. This is some basic information. This applies to both of our grant opportunities. And you'll see on grants.gov where both are posted that they are separate. They have separate notices of funding opportunity or NOFOs. The application period is the same. They both open on Thursday, November 16th and close on Monday, December 18th at 11:59 p.m. I want to note that we don't accept late applications, with one exception. If you're experiencing any technical difficulties or challenges that are of no fault of your own, and you document that and provide it to us prior to the application deadline. So please try and apply well in advance of the application deadline. So if you run into any problems, we can help you troubleshoot that. I've listed the eligible organizations there on the screen. If you have any questions about that, you can reach us at havcp@eac.gov. And again, I mentioned our resources are going to be the most important tool for both of these programs. They're posted on grants.gov and on the EAC website. You'll find NOFOs for both programs, as well as a really detailed application kit and all sorts of other documents that will help you in this process. Before you start applying for either of these grant programs, I really encourage folks to get familiar with the NOFO and the application kit, and that will help you to understand what the requirements are before going into developing your own program. This is a discretionary grant program. That means that it is competitive in nature. Given that information, we can't provide any specific guidance to applicants on what to put in their application or how to format their program. To answer any questions about this program, we have a Q&A document, and that will be posted on the EAC website. You can submit questions to the HAVCP email you see on the screen, and we'll answer those as quickly as possible on the Q&A document, and that will be available to anyone who's interested in answering and seeing the answers to those questions. And I encourage you to check that out before you get into your application or before you ask us a question. I did want to mention that the funding for this program, it's not distributed as an advance or necessarily as a reimbursement. It's sort of a combination of the two. Once you receive an invoice or a receipt for an expense, you will be able to submit that for reimbursement from us. And that will be through the PMS system. Okay, I'm going to talk more specifically about the College Poll Worker program. This grant program is to encourage our college students to be engaged in their communities and to serve as poll workers, as well as to complete the required poll worker training. And we do really encourage applicants to partner with their state and local elections offices, as well as other organizations that might be applicable. This is a larger grant program. It is 2 years. You can see the award minimum and maximum amounts there. And it's important to note that there is a 10% matching requirement. You'll need to document your match at the time of application in your budget and in your narrative, but you won't need to demonstrate it or have those funds or in-kind in hand until the end of the grant period. This is a look at some of the required things that you'll have to submit for this poll worker program. Those requirement documents, the SF424 and LLL, are standard federal forms, and the two on the bottom, the poll worker application and the budget worksheet, are custom to this poll worker program. You'll find those as well as guidance for each of those on the EAC website, and we'll talk more fully about how to complete those in our webinar at the end of November. Again, I'm going to refer you to the note vote and the application kit. You'll find more details about anything additional, like an indirect cost rate agreement that might be required for you, but not required for everyone. This is just some examples of allowable activities for this college poll worker program. It's intended to be a larger program in nature, and we know that that can cover a lot of things for a lot of different agencies, but we do anticipate some project personnel as well as some marketing campaigns. We're looking for some innovative strategies for how to reach folks on college campuses, get them to training, and get them to the polls, and that might include some travel expenses and stipends for poll workers, as well as campaign materials. I do want to note that the service day events that I mentioned and that are really applicable to the mini grant program, those are eligible under this college poll worker program. And we encourage you to host events for those days and use the funding from this program to support those. A note on some unallowable activities. This program, all activities need to be carried out without any partisan bias. And it's really important to note that get out the vote campaigns and activities are not allowable under HAVA. We understand that sometimes events might occur that include some voter registration, get out the vote activities, as well as recruiting folks to be a poll worker, and it kind of married together nicely. But in terms of funding, they have to be very, very separate. So in your application, in your budget, you need to explain really clearly that they will be completely separate sources of funding. Any materials should really just be on recruiting a poll worker, for example, and that money comes out of this pot of funding, has nothing to do with get out the vote. Performance measures are a part of both of these grant programs. They're a way for us to tell the story of how this grant program has succeeded, how we might need to tailor it in the future, and also to understand what your organization has done in your community, what your priorities are. We do ask that you identify the one required one on the screen. That's the total number of college students served. And then you'll select 2 others from a list that's provided in the application kit. And just keep in mind when you're selecting them that it's a reflection of you and your program. So try and choose the measures that really mirror your program's activities the best, and that will help demonstrate what you're working on in your community. And you'll have to also measure these measures throughout the course of the 2 years of the program. In addition to your performance reporting, which will be part of the semi-annual progress reports, we do require FFRs. Those are federal financial reports. Those will also be due semi-annually, and both reports will be completed in our grant management system. I wanted to touch on our evaluation criteria. This is included in the note votes as well as the application kit, and it's a really valuable resource for applicants because it tells you very clearly what we'll be looking for when we go to score your application. Make sure that you check out that scoring rubric. It has the details of each of those 3 categories and how you can score points in each of those. We will be prioritizing applicants that are serving federally recognized underserved communities. So if that is something that your community will be serving, make sure you demonstrate that in your application. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Sammy to talk about our Service Day mini grant program.
Thank you, Tina. So I'll be talking about the Service Day mini grant in more detail. The purpose of the Service Day mini grant program is to increase the participation of college students as poll workers and in the election process in general. There are 2 service days that are included in this program, the National Poll Worker Recruitment Day and Help America Vote Day. Each of these days has a slightly different theme around service as a poll worker and participation in elections. And applicants to the Service Day mini grant can apply for activities on either day, so just one or the other, or for both days. So as the mini grant program is a bit scaled down from the larger poll worker program, the award range is also smaller, so $3,000 to $10,000 maximum. The project period is also shorter, it's a year. And I do want to note here that the anticipated start date for Service Day projects and poll worker projects is after the 2024 observance of Help America Vote Day. So to help overcome that, we are allowing pre-award costs as allowable activities, so long as the pre-award costs are incurred after the date that this funding opportunity is open for applications in grants.gov. So that would be November 16th of this year. So you can include those pre-award costs for Help America Vote Day activities in your budget. And then if you receive an award, you can request reimbursement after you receive your award. So just like the poll worker program, the Service Day mini grant program also has a 10% match requirement that you have to demonstrate you've met by the end of the project period. And I do want to note that that match can be satisfied with unclaimed indirect costs. So if you have a negotiated indirect cost rate of 10% or higher, in lieu of claiming those indirect costs as cash, you can use them as an in-kind match. So the mini grant program, the application process is scaled down as well. The application is a single form that includes information about your organization, your proposed project, and your budget. The mini grant application will also be submitted by email to havcp@eac.gov. We referenced that email earlier, and we'll also have it at the end of this presentation. So you will submit it as an attachment along with any supporting documentation that you might need, for instance, an indirect cost rate negotiation. The application form and other application resources will be posted on grants.gov, even though the application process for the Service Day mini grant won't be through grants.gov. So you can find the documents there, and you can also find them on the EAC website. The allowable activities are any activities that are performed on or in preparation for observing one of the service days that you select, or both service days if you're requesting activities for both. Examples of activities might be tabling as outreach for college students on your campus, holding public events or workshops, maybe around the requirements for poll workers and the benefits of serving as a poll worker, or promotional campaigns, marketing campaigns to raise awareness about the service days and their significance. Unallowable activities are the same as the poll worker program. We don't allow any activities with a partisan bias, religious activities, And as Tina clarified, any voter registration or get out the vote activities, if they're going to be held in conjunction with service day activities, need to be tracked and funded completely separately. For the reporting requirements for the mini grant program, we're only asking for you to track one performance measure, and that's how many college students do you think will be served or have been served through your service day activities. And what a student served looks like will depend on the type of program you're running. But that might be, visitors to a table or attendees at a presentation or engagement levels for a marketing campaign. Or the overarching goal of the Service Day Mini Grant Program is to reach organizations who have not interacted with the Election Assistance Commission before, or organizations that are serving communities with historically higher barriers to election participation. So this goal is reflected in our scoring rubric. There's a total of 30 possible points for any application, and 20 out of those 30 points will be awarded based on organizational characteristics and the characteristics of the communities your organization serves. And then you have another 5 points each based on your program design and based on your budget. And more information, including a detailed scoring rubric, can be found on the EAC website. So choosing the right program. You're not able to apply for both programs, the poll worker and the Service Day Mini Grant Program, only one program. So I'll note again that service day activities are allowable under the larger poll worker program. So if you're looking to request any funding for poll workers, you should probably be applying to the poll worker program. The Service Day Mini Grant Program is best for applicants who are really only interested in or feel like they have the capacity to carry out activities supporting participation in one or both of the service days. Thank you so much for your interest in the Help America Vote College program and for listening in. Our next webinars will focus on the application specifics for each program type. So we will have one specifically for the poll worker program and then another for the Service Day Mini Grant Program, as Tina mentioned earlier. And more information about those webinars can be found on the EAC website. We have a link there. That link is also where you will find, all of the other college program resources. And we have also provided here the email address where you can submit questions so that they can go through the Q&A process and we can get those answers for you in the Q&A document that will be posted online. Have a great rest of your day.